A $500 million warship can be rendered completely defenseless by a single modern heavyweight torpedo. This is the terrifying tactical reality as the Royal Canadian Navy deploys the Halifax-class frigate HMCS Ottawa to RIMPAC 2026, the world's largest naval warfare exercise taking place from June 24 to July 31, 2026. This deployment follows directly on the heels of a highly tense mission on May 22 and 23, 2026, when its sister ship, HMCS Charlottetown, conducted a high-stakes transit through the 180-kilometer Taiwan Strait under intense surveillance by Chinese Type 054A frigates. Now, Canada is thrusting HMCS Ottawa into the deep waters of Hawaii, carrying a heavily classified sensor upgrade that has never been tested in a simulated combat environment. The stakes could not be higher for the 240 crew members on board. In the shallow, cluttered waters of the Indo-Pacific, billions of dollars of Allied naval architecture are increasingly exposed to ultra-quiet diesel-electric submarines equipped with air-independent propulsion, such as the Chinese Type 039C. Leading global defense analysts argue that on paper, a surface fleet's only tactical salvation against these invisible threats would be a radical leap in underwater detection technology. Will this $500 million gamble with a decades-old hull successfully expose these phantom submarines, or will it prove entirely useless against next-generation undersea technology? Before we go on, do you think advanced technology can save older warships from modern threats? Drop your thoughts below, hit subscribe to join the fleet, and tell me where you are watching from. The fundamental crisis for surface fleets in the Indo-Pacific lies in a brutal mix of physics and economics. In shallow littoral waters with depths under 100 meters, sound waves from traditional sonar emit and bounce violently off jagged sea floors and complex thermal layers. This acoustic clutter forms a natural shield, leaving traditional hull-mounted sonar systems practically blind. This physical limitation creates an extreme tactical vulnerability when facing ultra-quiet diesel-electric submarines like the Type 039C, which can simply sit motionless on the ocean floor, completely concealed from surface radar. The legacy equipment on board HMCS Ottawa, specifically the aging ANSC's 510 sonar system, was engineered for open ocean operations during the Cold War. In 2026, it is vastly inadequate for filtering out the immense ambient noise generated by tens of thousands of commercial cargo vessels transiting through critical choke points like the Malacca Strait or Taiwan Strait. Beyond the physics, Western nations are trapped in a severe economic bottleneck. The United States Navy is facing massive production delays with its $4 billion Virginia-class nuclear submarines, creating a dangerous capability gap in near-shore defense. Meanwhile, Canada is facing its own crisis, as the multi-billion-dollar River-class destroyer program is severely delayed, with delivery pushed back toward 2030 and beyond. This leaves the 30-year-old Halifax-class hulls as the primary line of defense. If a flashpoint erupts in 2026, Allied carrier strike groups will remain highly exposed to subsurface ambushes unless an immediate, cost-effective solution can be deployed. Without a technological breakthrough to overcome this literal blindness, these multi-million-dollar surface combatants are operating on borrowed time. To plug this critical defensive gap immediately, Canada has turned HMCS Ottawa into a floating technological testbed. The solution comes in the form of the Underwater Warfare Suite upgrade, a massive modernization program valued between $250 million and $499 million developed jointly by General Dynamics Mission Systems and Maritime. At the absolute core of this upgrade is the towed low-frequency active-passive sonar system, or TLFAS. This breakthrough technology completely rewrites anti-submarine warfare by integrating both a low-frequency active horizontal inline projector and a highly sensitive passive receiver array onto a single, heavy-duty towed cable deployed far behind the stern of the ship. When activated, the active projector pumps out powerful, low-frequency acoustic pulses that easily penetrate the most complex thermal layers and salinity barriers of shallow littoral waters. Even if an enemy submarine is completely powered down and resting silently on a muddy seafloor, the sound waves strike its hull and bounce back directly to the passive array, revealing its precise coordinates. Furthermore, the ship is now protected by the torpedo sonar, intercept, and classification system, which automatically detects the acoustic signature of an enemy torpedo the exact moment it leaves the launch tube, tripling the reaction window for the crew to deploy advanced countermeasures. RIMPAC 2026 serves as the ultimate live fire, proving ground for this technology. If HMCS Ottawa successfully tracks and locks onto the 5 Allied submarines acting as adversarial forces in Hawaii, the Canadian government plans to rapidly accelerate the production of these suites to upgrade all 11 remaining Halifax-class frigates before the end of the year. This will effectively establish a highly distributed, cost-efficient, and lethal anti-submarine barrier across the Indo-Pacific within the next 3 to 12 months. The deployment of HMCS Ottawa to RIMPAC 2026 ultimately brings a massive doctrinal debate to the forefront of global naval strategy. This is a direct confrontation between two entirely different military philosophies. On one side is the ultra-luxury approach of the United States, which pours over $4 billion into building a single, next-generation hull from scratch, a process that takes decades and creates massive capability gaps during delays. On the other side is the hyper-pragmatic, tech-centric doctrine of Canada, which utilizes an existing 30-year-old hull and injects it with a $499 million processing brain to achieve near parity in subsurface warfare immediately. As naval friction intensifies throughout the Indo-Pacific in 2026, defense planners no longer have the luxury of waiting years for shipyards to catch up. The overarching lesson from HMCS Ottawa is that modern naval supremacy is no longer defined by the sheer mass of steel on the water, but by the software and sensory arrays operating beneath it. If a low-cost sensor package can effectively neutralize a multi-billion-dollar stealth submarine, the traditional naval arms race is completely inverted. This strategic gamble by the Royal Canadian Navy proves that adaptability is the ultimate weapon in 21st century warfare. As allied and adversarial fleets face off across these vital choke points, the choice between raw hull numbers and immediate technological retrofits will decide who controls the sea lanes. Which naval doctrine do you believe is more sustainable for long-term maritime security, building expensive new hulls or rapidly upgrading legacy warships with next-generation sensors? Drop your perspective in the comments below, leave a like, and subscribe to stay updated on global defense.